Now, after Jacob, because when this situation happened, Jacob had to flee for his life. And he left his home and then he met Rachel. And the script tells us that he loved her so much that when he arrived to this new land, that he went to go ask for Rachel's hand in marriage, and the dad was like, okay, you can marry my daughter, but you're going to have to work 7 years for her. And he did, because he was in love with her. But Rachel's dad, Laban, he lied to Jacob, because instead of giving him Rachel after the 7 years, he gave him the older daughter, Leah. Yep. So the next morning, he realized, wait a minute, this is not Rachel. And when Jacob confronted the dad, he explained to him their customs. Like, it's not customary for me to give you my younger daughter. I have to give you my older daughter before you can even marry the younger daughter. But if you want Rachel too, then you need to work another 7 years for her. And Jacob was like, all right, I'll do it. And he did. And I know I asked, like, wait a minute, like, if Jacob loved Rachel so much, then how did he end up having all of these kids with like four women, right? And you start to see as you read this story in Jacob's life that Rachel couldn't have any kids for many years. And in that time, during that culture, she had a servant. That's where in Genesis 37, you read about Bilhah, because that was Rachel's servant. So Rachel gives Bilhah to Jacob so that she can have kids that would legally belong to Rachel, because Bilhah belongs to Rachel. And then Leah, she had kids for Jacob, but then she got to a point where she couldn't have any kids. So she did the same thing that Rachel did, and her servant was Zilpah. So she gave Zilpah to Jacob. Those are the 4 women. That's what scripture teaches. It doesn't say that this was God's perfect design, because we know what God's design was in the beginning. He wanted to have husband, a wife covenant with the example of Adam and Eve. Now, because of all of this stuff, this is going to be like a rerun, because Leah was jealous of Rachel because Jacob loved Rachel. It caused competition between the sisters. It caused them to have a division and then to have a broken family. And I just think that that is so amazing that even now we see families that are broken, and that this is nothing that is new to God. And these are good examples and good teachings that God can take these broken families and rewrite the story for his glory. And what's also really cool is that God is not hiding the fact that these people have all of these issues like jealousy, that they have a competitive nature or anything, trying to convince us that all these individuals are good, but it's really pointing to us our need for God. So over time, now Jacob becomes the father of 12 sons. And those sons are recorded later in Genesis chapter 35.
While Israel was living in that region, Reuben went in and slept with his father's concubine, Bilhah, and Israel heard of it.
So
Jacob had 12 sons, the sons of Leah. Reuben, the firstborn of Jacob, Simon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. The sons of Rachel, Joseph and Benjamin. The sons of Rachel's maidservant, Bilhah, Dan, and Naphtali. The sons of Leah's maidservant, Silpah, Gad, and Asher. These were the sons of Jacob who were born to him in Paddan Aram.
So here we see the 12 sons of Jacob. And these are in the Bible, the 12 tribes of Israel. So before I even say anything, I forgot to mention that Jacob had his name changed to Israel, okay, by God. He had a situation where he wrestled with God and he ended up walking out with a limp. And now he has these kids. And these are the 12 kids that when you hear the 12 tribes of Israel, the tribe of Judah, the tribe of Benjamin, these all go back to Jacob's sons. So we're going to end it right there, and then we're going to pick up on Joseph, chapter 37, verses 1 through 4.
Yeah, thank you. I think this was really important, right? To know all these brothers and the different wives that they came about with, because it wasn't just one mom. It was a bunch of different moms, a bunch of different concubines. So very interesting. It's going to give us a different perspective.
Absolutely. So when we go into Genesis 37 and we start talking about these people, now you're going to hopefully understand why this is going on. So for 17 years, these brothers that have grown up, now that you know the history between the sisters, Leah and Rachel, and their servant girls, the Bible doesn't really tell us, but why Jacob was the way he was, why he loved Rachel so much, and those children, but those kids no tenían la culpa. They didn't have the fault for anything, and they had to endure everything else that was going to come. It doesn't excuse the sins that they did, but it also doesn't excuse Jacob's favoritism. So we're going to end it right there, and then we're going to pick it up in Genesis 37, and then we're going to meet Joseph.
And before you go really quick, so Jacob, not obviously, but you'll explain to us, I guess, his favoritism towards Joseph could also be because he loved Rachel so much. She was the original one that he wanted to marry. And Joseph was Rachel's firstborn.
Joseph was Rachel's firstborn to Rachel and to Jacob. And then they had Benjamin.
And we're going to learn about Benjamin too, because now I'm curious as to why is Benjamin not the favorite too? Because if you love this woman and you had 2 kids with her and she was your favorite, I can understand not maybe having favoritism to her son.
Well, remember, he's the oldest son.
Right.
And
that's what I figured because he's the oldest, the firstborn.
Yeah. So, but he had other older sons, which is crazy, pero
The thing is, the point of it is that he was in love with her so much.
and
that
he never
ese
intended
fue el
to
hijo del
be it.
amor.
It was always about Rachel, and just as he deceived his own father to get that birthright, he was now also deceived and got Leah instead of Rachel, and can you imagine 14 years he had to work? 14 years he worked.
Leah gave him a lot of sons compared to everybody else. She had the most sons with him.
She had the most kids.
Oh, interesting, interesting.